by the space that surrounds him. Take it all in. Breathe, forever be. Forever.
Hey, welcome to the Unsung. I'm your host, Blake Quimby. Glad you're with us. Before we get started, take just a few moments and follow us on these platforms. Subscribe, follow. We love for you to come along as we talk with those that are lifting the limelight in their area and supporting Rose. We think it's going to be fun. We'd love for you to come along for the journey. Our guest today is a studio owner. He's a musician, audio engineer, supreme. He's an avid chef, and I have proof. I'll show you later. He's a loving father and husband, and also a former, yes, I say former Coast Guard member. Y'all, please welcome Mr. Jacob Meador.
Hello.
Hey, man. Welcome.
Good to be here.
Yes. And if his voice kind of sounds pretty familiar to you over the last few weeks, that is his band, The Beautiful Contributors, which they are our music, our lead in. Isn't that wonderful? So find their music anywhere records are sold, right? They still make records, right, Jacob, or no?
Yeah, they do.
Now, did you have
They're mostly in my closet, though.
Now, do you have you made actual vinyl records for your last one y'all did, right?
Yes. For Earth, we did 300 copies, and I have about 200 left. So
Yes.
they take up a lot of closet space.
Yes, please mail your request to Jacob, and he'll get you one.
Yeah, send a self-addressed stamped envelope or something like that.
Shipping and handling is separate. Well, hey man, you grew up in Rosenberg, Richmond, but Pleak, right? I mean, Needville. Where that's the origin of you, right?
Yeah, I grew up there's like a triangle between Rosenberg, Needville, and Beasley, and I grew up like right in the middle of that geographic center. So it was 4 miles to anywhere.
Yes, and now you're kind of smack dab in the middle, which is really great. Great location. I grew up not too far from where you're living right now in the wonderful village of Pleak.
Yeah.
We used to have a haircut place. Did you ever go to the haircutting place up there by the gas station?
No.
Never?
Can't say I did.
Yeah, the Chris Corner. Remember Chris Corner? I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, Chris Corner. Yeah.
Yeah,
That was Fleet Corner before it was, right? It was Chris Corner before it was Fleet Corner.
Right. Miss Chris had it, and she that was her place for a long time. But then she also had like a little tiny like white building. It was like just like, small little square. But an old guy would just do haircuts there for like, $5, and I would just go there. My mom would drop me off.
I think I went to Famous Mike's in the Berg, and
Famous
there were
Mike.
$5. And worst haircut ever.
Really? Yeah, it probably was. My mom actually made me go there one time, and it was
a lot of bowls, a lot of mullets,
I can imagine you with a bowl. That would be really nice.
Surf cut, in the mid '80s,
Sure.
New wave, new wave. So you had to have a new wave in your hair.
Well, sure. Now, did you go to Famous Mike's a lot, or just like once or twice?
Nah, a couple times. I don't even remember, but I didn't get haircuts very often. Usually I get a haircut the first day of school, because they would send me home for long hair, because that was the kind of school I went to, I guess.
Yeah, you wouldn't.
Boys couldn't have long hair or earrings.
Well, you wouldn't make it in Needville for sure if you were a teenager these days. They would kick you out the first day, or maybe the first month possibly with all that long hair.
Yeah.
Well, hey, you have a wonderful family. You've been married for how long now?
28 years.
28 years. And you have here they are, beautiful family. That's a little. I think that's a little older picture, but that does it
Yeah, I look
justice.
young. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that's
here's
good.
present. There you go.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
but you have two great little girls. Oh no, they're grown up now. I mean, they're teenagers now, right?
Yeah, yeah. Driving. One of them.
Man, I'm Maddie's almost there. She's about 4 years,
Yeah.
wait, 5 years away from that. So, um, and so yeah, you've been here locally for a long time. You were in the Coast Guard for what, 5 years? Is that right?
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah.
And I got to get away from this place.
Now let's talk about the Coast. I have a cousin in the Coast Guard, right? And
Mhm.
I mean, is it fun? I mean, is there? Because I don't think I would make it much. Like I wouldn't do well on. I don't have sea legs, is what I'm trying to say.
You do fine. You do fine. Now,
Yeah.
it was it was hard work, and at the time, I hated a lot of it, but it was an amazing time looking back. In retrospect, it was amazing.
Mm,
Really good decision. But at the time, it's, you know, you're basically, signing your life away and you're just going to do whatever, whether you like it or not. There's no quitting kind of thing. So there was just a lot of, especially in the beginning, there was a lot of work that was highly undesirable and very stressful and difficult. But it was also a lot of fun stuff. I got to travel a lot. I got to see um, a lot of, at least North America, the Caribbean, Alaska, the
mm,
Pacific Ocean.
mm.
So, you know, Hawaii. Did a lot of swimming in the Pacific Ocean. Got to swim the equator, which is pretty cool.
Wow.
Crossed the international date line at the equator. Um, got to go through the Panama Canal
Wow.
and went into the Arctic Circle
Man,
up
you
north.
are a cultured young man.
Well, that was a very short. I did all of that in about a year
Wow.
and hadn't done it since.
So what was the
But
hardest job like in your whatever 5 years of doing that? What was your like one of the most difficult like duties that you had to do?
it'd be mess cooking. And
Okay.
a mess cook basically on a big ship. I was on a 378, which was the second to largest ship the Coast Guard had at the time, and there was a crew of about 165. So imagine washing dishes for 165 people, and for 4 meals a day.
I I
And
I take it that it didn't look like this.
no, well, actually, we did have. That's beautiful, man. Where did you get that picture? Is that
I,
Adobe stock?
it's Adobe stock. Well, no, it's a Jacob Meador original. And I don't know how this even happens. This probably came from the Coast Guard, but this right here, these sardines that I get text these pictures, which are amazing. Um, I don't know. I mean, is that is that what the Coast Guard did? Did they turn you on to
No, I
sardines?
didn't eat sardines until about 3 months ago, maybe
Mm,
6 months ago. Just
well,
getting older, and you got to start eating right. So I've
oh yeah.
acquired a taste. But we did have some good meals. Like I can remember, we had like all you can eat king crab. When we were up in Alaska, because it was like we'd pull into a port and the cooks could just buy it for like pennies on the dollar. And
Wow.
so every now and then we'd have an amazing feast. We'd catch halibut up in Alaska, and then they'd cook that, and it was super fresh, like the
It's
day
not.
of.
It's not HEB. You walk in
Yeah,
and it just
it
smells
wasn't.
like death.
Yeah. So there was but there was also some really bad food, especially if the ship is like, you know, rocking and you're kind of queasy, and then they pull out some
Oh,
mysterious stir fry with a lot of bell peppers, and just yeah,
oh my god, I'm getting sick just that whole sequence of doing
yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, you know how I am. I mean, you were on a boat with me, like
Oh.
just on like barely nothing, and then we
Yeah,
went
it was
out.
like,
It was all blowed out, man.
yeah, you fished like 10 minutes and then you were laying in the cabin sick.
I was so
Yeah,
sick.
you are not cut out for the ocean, the salt life, as they say.
Yeah, no. I see the Salt Life stickers, and I no,
You get nauseous.
I get so nauseous. Oh my! It took me 2 weeks to recover from that escapade, emotionally as well.
Yeah.
It was a long weekend.
So yeah, you would definitely not. You The Coast Guard would not be a good choice for you.
No, I don't think any type of military. I mean, because you got to get on the boat at some point, and I would have to just bow
Air
out.
Force, Air Force, they never get on a boat.
Well, now Air Force,
I'm
you
not
have
even
like
sure if
the
they
what is
do.
it called, the G Force or whatever. Like how fat. I mean, I've seen people like black out from that. I that would be me. I would black out in the middle of a fight.
Yeah, but most of the Air Force, they don't even fly. I'm not even sure what the Air Force does.
Well, you know,
Some of them
uh,
fly,
yeah.
but like even
Um,
like Top Gun, Maverick, he's Navy, right?
I'm just gonna
Like
say sure because I'm not. I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea.
the most popular like fighter jet movie of all time was based around some Navy pilots.
Yeah, that's the
So
only guitar solo I know. If you ever are interested, I will play it for you. Um, but
yeah.
anyways, so you are apart from being just a phenomenal cook. I mean, those pictures speak for themselves, right? Now, hey, I do want
Did
to
you
ask you a
get?
quick
Did
question.
you have the picture of it where I cut it, the
No, that was
steak, so you could
beautiful.
see?
That was.
You don't
Let me.
have that
I'll.
one.
Well, I don't have it up, but I'll pull it up. I'll try to get it before we
Yeah,
get
we
done.
can show it at the end, kind of as a finale, maybe
That's true. Yeah. Um,
for
but
all your for your
they would love to see that.
for
I'm
your
pretty
vegan
sure. It was
constituents.
a perfect. It was
See.
a perfect rent. Like you knocked it out. Oh, my question was, did you ever do? You did the reverse sear, right? We talked about that, and I think you sent me a picture of it. But that
I was
wasn't it.
trying that for a couple times. I tried that a couple times, and it went pretty well. But
Uh huh.
I just started throwing it in a dry skillet to start. Just put it,
Searing it.
heat the skillet, a hot skillet, get it
Mm-hmm.
hot, and just throw it on there, and then sear it, and then flip it, and then just add a bunch of butter, and
Sure.
then keep cooking it until. And I turn it on the side, so you get like the sides, you kind of get a little sear on the sides, and you rotate it, and then I throw the mushrooms in there and
Mm,
cook those in the butter, and then I'll throw some eggs in at the end. Fried,
man,
medium eggs over medium.
you did really well. Yeah.
Yeah,
I never cooked eggs over medium until I got married, and Crystal loves. She loves that, so that's what we do now. Um,
yeah,
but you knocked it out perfectly. So it looked very good. I mean, if you ever want to invite me over for a breakfast, that would be, steak and eggs would be. You eat steak a lot. You're a red meat person, aren't you?
yeah. It's a recent phenomenon, but yeah, I'm trying it out because I I was eating, you know, less meat for
Mm,
probably the last 6 years,
mm,
and
I do
so I
remember that.
figured, let me try something new. Let me try all meat for a while.
Let's see how
Not
long
all
that'll
meat, but
last. I think it's a
a
good
lot of
idea.
protein. More protein than I'm trying to eat more protein because when you get older, you start just losing muscle. So you gotta
I, I
gotta go to the gym and
I would say you're
all
pretty
the
physically
things that
fit.
you hate doing.
You're pretty strong. People don't know that about you. You have a good strength. You're good strength. I would say. Um, but apart from your beautiful and amazing cooking skills, which we could talk for hours upon, you are also a man of many wonders, I would say. People know you for a lot of different things. You have a lot of different niches, but um, you are. Would you say your one of your first loves is probably audio engineering of live and studio? Is that kind of where you really love doing that, or was that kind of one of your first
Yeah,
things
yeah,
apart
yeah.
from being a band or something? Audio engineering is kind of what you're kind of known for.
Yes. Um, that's what I've spent the most time trying to get better at over the last 23 years or so.
So
So,
how did that process start for you? Because you've done a lot of different things throughout your career, but like what were the kind of the origins of that? How did you? I mean, you were in a couple bands. I know you know you did that. And how long has Beautiful Contributors been around? How many years now?
well, I did my first solo record in 2008
Okay.
and started playing live. I basically got a bunch of guys, friends who would, learn the songs and go out and play them with me. So I basically started putting on the flyer Jacob Meador and the Beautiful Contributors as they were the band, and because they were contributing beautifully,
Yes.
and I credited a lot of that on the record. You know, people's everything they did was beautiful contributions. So
Love it.
um, whenever I started working on the new songs after that record, um, I was working with Nolan Burke, and we were really kind of we were writing together a little bit, and so um, I just made the decision to drop my name and just go with beautiful contributors.
Love it.
So that, and then we started a record in 2009 and finished our first record in 2011, and it was called Natural.
It's kind of neat because I mean, really, anyone can. I mean, you can bring in your friends or whoever to play on it. I mean, it makes it's such a really great idea. I mean, I know that many artists have done that, but it just feels really unique what you're doing. So I think the music's unique,
Thanks.
songwriting's definitely unique. Um, but you guys get a sonic sound that's really beautiful. Hence the name.
So yeah, so I write most of the songs now, uh, and I've had a lot of different people play on my records. I've had a couple different drummers. I've had different bass players and guitar players and piano players, and I've my last record, Earth. Uh, we I even had like a quintet that I
Wow.
was
Yeah.
recording. It was a two violins, viola, cello, and a pianist, and I just had them play this music that I composed, basically replace the MIDI tracks that I had used to compose the song,
Wow.
and so that turned out really good.
There's a song that I really love that you wrote. It's called Four Leaf Clover, and I was showing my kids the video for it. I think there's a video out there for it, and there's like an
Yeah.
iPad thing that you did, and
Mm-hmm.
their minds were literally just blown. They were like, "What?" And I, where can I do that, Dad? I want to do that. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was one of those just magical things.
Yeah.
That was probably the last time that I stayed up till 2 a.m. and did something really amazing. But I remember working on that iPad solo, and it was so difficult because, it was like this. It's a Moog software. It's called something. I don't know. Anyway, you you basically put your fingers on the keys and you can slide them, and it's just this really cool synth, and they got sounds. But when you're playing it, like your fingers start to get sweaty, and then they won't slide. So it took probably an hour and a half to
Wow.
compose and nail this solo in one take because you couldn't punch it because it was so swimmy with all these effects. And I
Sure.
just remember at like 2:30 in the morning playing it back and just standing there like with my hands up like this, just going, "Yes,
You had a
this
Rocky
is
moment.
so
Yeah.
epic." Yeah, it was really cool. So that song is um, one of the only songs um, that doesn't have any beautiful contributions. I think I played everything. I played
You did. That's
drums.
right. I remember you telling me that. And once there's something that's really, I mean, there's a few other songs too that are just amazing and beautiful, but that song just it's always connected with me because um, you go from like your range on that song. Like when I first met you, I think I met you at least, I don't know, 14 years ago, 15, I don't know, something like that. It was many moons, and I didn't even think you sang or anything. I knew you did audio stuff and mixing and all that, but when I hear you on that song, you go from like this like low to this
Hmm.
extreme high. And you told me, didn't you tell me you woke up
Yeah,
early, like what, 4 or 5 in the morning to do that or
yeah.
something to get that low?
Well,
Um,
that song has the lowest note I've ever sang and the highest note I've ever sang.
Tell me that
And
you're done with it. That was so great, man. I
yeah,
can't
you
do it
can hit
justice.
it. You're all over it.
There you go.
Anyway, yeah, the definitely the low part. I couldn't hit it. It was uh, just wouldn't come out. So I just got up early one morning and nailed it first take,
Well,
and
it's
then
awesome. Four leaf clover. You gotta listen to it. Um,
yeah,
so audio engineering, you that's kind of your thing, but it's more than that. It's more than live. You've done a lot of live stuff. You've traveled. You've been on the road. You've done that whole thing. But now you own a studio, Orchestrate Studio. Let's see if we have that up here. There we go. Orchestratesound.com. You can go and check out all the many different projects Jacob's working on, him and his staff, and book time, do whatever you need to do, and we'll show a brief video here in a little bit. But you know, that's kind of what you're doing now. I know you teach as well, so you have a
hmm,
lot that you're doing, writing, producing. But I want to talk about the audio side for a little bit. Um,
sure.
what do you love? I would think that you love the live feel because it just seems like you would, but also, is it like a 50-50 thing with you? Like live and studio, or do you prefer one or over the other?
I like them for different reasons.
Yeah.
Whenever I first started audio engineering, I didn't really have any interest in live mixing. Um, it just what that's not what I studied. I mean, I studied it, but I wasn't when I graduated school. I wasn't planning on pursuing live sound.
Mm,
Um, so I always want to make records. I love making records. I love that process. I love getting sounds, creating, moods, creating atmospheres. I love helping artists. I look at engineering and production as I am a conduit of emotion from the artist with whatever message or emotion that they're trying to convey. And my job is to get that to the listener. Um, and so that's a huge honor, you know, to be able to be given that responsibility to just
sure.
someone to trust you to help them make it sound as good as it possibly can.
Hmm.
So I've always loved the recording. I've loved being in the studio. I started recording my band in high school, 4-track cassette style. Moved up, graduated to an 8-track ADAT digital recorder, which sounded terrible. And then, got into analog tape and then Pro Tools. and still just trying to get better. After
Yeah.
20
I mean,
years
it's
of doing it professionally.
well, yeah, and now you're doing. Tell me about this Atmos thing you're doing. You just put that in. You just had that installed in your studio.
Yeah, so Dolby Atmos, it's immersive audio. It's a format that is new in music. Dolby Atmos has been in movies for probably 10 or 12 years or more. Um, but there's never been um, a place for people to consume immersive audio until, of course, the internet bandwidth got fast enough where now you can stream um, enough data to get this immersive audio stream. It's a very big file.
Mm-hmm.
So, now Apple Music and Tidal and Amazon Unlimited all offer Dolby Atmos streaming in some format. But the cool thing about it that makes it a possibility or something that might catch on is that people can experience it just with headphones or earbuds. You don't have to have a 12 speaker system. Dolby Atmos it scales. So basically, you could have a 128 speaker system or a pair of headphones, and you can still experience it.
Wow.
So it's a really unique format in that way, which makes it different than like 5.1 or 7.1. It's um, a
He's
little
the
more
best. He's the best.
scalable.
Sca-
Yeah,
Scalable. Niños.
yeah. So
Um.
I'm just. This is something that's new. I'm just learning, but
Yeah.
I've always been interested in immersive audio or surround sound for music, just because I just like that idea. It just was never a possibility until now. In fact, I got to mix music in 5.1 in the year 2000,
Mm.
whenever I was in school, and I was like, man, this is the coolest thing. Like, this is what I want to do. But
Wow.
when the iPod came out, basically it killed any opportunity for high definition or premium experiences, because we had some formats, SACD, DVD audio, that did 5.1, but the consumers wanted 10,000 songs in the pocket instead. So
Sure.
we went to listening to crappy MP3s, but you could have 10,000 songs in your pocket. And that was the marketing. That was the ad. 10,000 songs in your pocket. And it killed any hope of me being able to produce and mix surround audio for music. So I've waited 23 years or 20 years or whatever to to do this.
Now's your
So
chance. And
that's
and
my chance.
and I mean, all this technology stuff is so cool. I mean, we live in a super exciting age where that's just so attainable. Um, does that um, when you go to produce a song, say let's just, I mean, even a whole album. I mean, because I know you do that too. You there at Orchestrate, you guys do the whole enchilada, right? You do from
Hmm.
writing to mixing to mastering, production, all of that fun stuff. Um, and there's not been one like project that I've heard that you've done that I've been like, why did you do that? It just seems so creative, and you really take your time, and there, and plus, I mean, I'm sure it makes it easier because you have a great team of players that are with you. I mean, that's
Oh
probably
yeah,
half the battle, or more than half the battle won already, right? So,
absolutely.
um, so when you look at a song, say you get a song from a singer songwriter, what's your process of just tackling that song? Where do you first start, and then where do you end?
Well, usually I'll start just by doing like a scratch demo. Have them play the song as they envision it, and then I might make suggestions to help them, improve the song. I usually don't get too involved in lyrical stuff, but just arrangement stuff, cleaning it up, making it, you know, more um, accessible and
Like structure
taking
and
out any,
chords and stuff like that.
yeah, removing unnecessary parts, or making the 6 minute song 4.5, or unless it needs to be 6 minutes, but so just things like that. My biggest strength as a producer is hiring the right players, and that's really, you know,
Takes the pressure
that's
off of
my
you, huh?
that's my secret. Yeah. So, I'll basically take those songs, we'll edit them, the demos, we will um, create charts, so the musicians can come in and have a really good roadmap of things, and try to knock out basics as as quickly as possible. And these guys are amazing. I mean, we've done basic drum, bass, and guitar tracks for 10 songs in one day,
Yeah.
which is pretty amazing. So, you know, and
But
it,
I mean, but
you know, it,
that takes a special knack, right? I mean, not everybody can do that. I mean, even the great one. I mean, you have a team that you've been working with for a while now, right? I mean, the guys that you bring into your
yeah,
studio.
there's definitely, we definitely have a process, we're used to working with each other. We work really quick. I mean, we do the basics, and then if someone wants to overdub a guitar, then someone else will be overdubbing a tambourine at the same time, and someone else might be doing a mandolin. So we try to like just be as efficient as possible, and we still try to be creative, but if we're playing through the song again, we're usually recording. Everybody who can play something is playing again,
Yep.
if it needs it.
Yep.
So, we get, just a high level of efficiency that way. Um, you just have to make sure you're recording the right tracks and you're not recording over something that you just recorded. Or so I usually will say out real loud, uh, in the talkback, as I'm looking at what tracks are record enabled.
Yeah.
I'll announce what I'm recording. Now recording drums, bass, guitar, and scratch vocal, or whatever, or tambourine and
Well,
elephants.
yeah. I mean, there's was one time I think I was sitting there. Me and Crystal were doing a project with you, and I was sitting there, and you said, "Hey, play this," and I'm like, "What? I can't play this thing." It's like some kind of like it wasn't a lap steel, but it was something sort of like that, like acoustic thing, and I had to
Oh yeah, the mountain dulcimer,
mountain dulcimer,
the
right, and
old
it
mountain
actually,
dulcimer.
yeah, it actually made the what we did, and I was like, oh, that was kind of a fun little thing, and then there was something else that you had that you could like you could, it was like I don't know, it was like a little box, and it had like a circle in the middle, and you could do. You just had so many different little
Yeah,
toys, which was very
kalimba.
fun.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. I mean, I
and
love the toys because it just, and it makes it's easy to make something unique and different, and it's a lot easier than scrolling through a bank of virtual instrument presets. Golly, if that's not the worst thing in the world to do, especially when you're there with a room full of people. Like,
yeah,
okay, let's see, what do we want? We're looking for an electric piano. Okay, well, I got 600 of those, and of course, the first 400 aren't the right one.
sure,
But if I just said, okay, here's my Rhodes, and we plugged it in, it would be the right one the first time.
it works.
So,
I think I even said, man, this would be so great if I had a hammer dulcimer. And then like the next time we came in, you had the hammer dulcimer set up, and you're like, hey, I did some hammer dulcimer on this track or the song, and I went, where the heck did you get this hammer dulcimer? I had no idea you even played. You're like, well, I don't really play. I just kind of like, you know,
I dabble.
I dabble.
Yeah.
It was just it was amazing to me that Even like there was like a little drum thing for a song we did, but we just went away from the original kit into this like really, it's a parish kit, I think. Is that probably was
Yeah, yeah,
what it was? Just a really unique
yeah.
sound. And so every time I think about what you create and what you do with your team and everything, it just seems so creative. It feels different. It feels like you're really playing for the song and giving everything into it, which is really interesting. I had a question without naming any names. Can you talk about a time where maybe you were recording a band and it was just the worst session you've ever had, and you just had to smile and endure it? Um, uh, does anything come to mind at all? Without naming names.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a live recording. It was
Did
at a
it did it have
very
overdubs on it? Or what was it, underdubs? I don't remember.
no, no, it wasn't that one. No, it wasn't. It wasn't that one. It was a it was a it was a corporate gig. This band got a gig playing a corporate thing, and it was a really odd pairing of or assembly of musicians. It was an upright bass,
Mm.
a saxophone, an electric guitar, and a drum set. And they played variety music. I'm in the yeah, I don't know how to describe it. Well, here's how I'll describe it. When they came back for the second set, no one was in the room. And
Only you.
yeah, and the leader of the band says, "Uh, are there any fans of Van Halen left in the house?" and then and then the bar staff in the back, the people working at the little bar were like, they all went downstairs, but they're listening. And he's like, oh, they're listening. Oh, okay. And then they proceeded to play this amazing version of Van Halen Jump.
Wow.
And it is a highlight of,
Oh
it's a
yeah, of
highlight.
your
Let's just
career,
say it's a highlight.
it's a highlight. Um,
Yeah,
hey, as
well, in the first set though, the first set, I was kind of hiding behind the bushes, like because there was
oh,
like
one
some
of
fake, it
those.
was like a fake ficus plant,
Mm,
and I was kind of like, oh my goodness, what is going on?
yeah,
You know, am I on candid camera? So I started kind of like just crouching down behind
Crouching Tiger.
the
Yeah.
little ficus. But no, I haven't had a really bad experience in the studio. I mean,
Mm.
I've recorded some people that were not great, but um, yeah.
Um, it, are do you? I don't even know if you even think about this, but is are there any artists or bands that you would love just to like a dream list, like maybe a few? Are there anything that anyone that you would like to work with? Maybe even do their records, or maybe a single or something like that? Or do you even think about that? Do you dream about that at all?
There's this guy, local guy. His name's Blake Quimby. You ever heard of him? Eh?
The horses have the horses
No.
in the back.
My favorite, one of my favorite artists is a guy by the name of Jeremy Enoch, and he's from Seattle.
Yep.
And he used to front. Well, he's still. They're actually right now a reunion tour of sorts. He was in the band Sunny Day Real Estate, but his solo career is just really cool. He's got an amazing voice, and I tried to help him produce a record. He had been like he hadn't done anything in maybe 6 years, and I was just like, just take a shot. I just emailed him and I was like, I want to help you make a record. And we had a conversation, but it never came to fruition. But who knows? Maybe in the future
Yeah, you
I'll
put it
reach
out
out to
there.
him again.
Yeah, I think you should. So kind of running out of time, Jacob. Together, Another
No,
few more
no, no, no. We
questions.
got plenty of
We
time.
have plenty of time. We have plenty of time. Hey, what is some advice you would give? Because you are, I mean, you are, you've been a lot behind the stage, hiding behind trees. You've been behind the scenes. You've done a lot of supporting things and all that. And there's probably people listening today that maybe just need encouragement. Because a lot of people they fill that role in their everyday life or job, and it's probably not in music. It's probably just in whatever career they're in. What advice would you give to someone who just plays that supporting role day by day? Maybe just needs some encouragement.
I don't know. I mean, I guess figure out how to be excited about serving people.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you're getting paid for it, it's still you have a choice of whether or not to do it. In some cases. So, um, but yeah, I mean, just try to do it cheerfully.
Mm-hmm.
Like not begrudgingly, or try to maintain a good attitude about it. And I think that will make it easy, make it more pleasurable, and also create more opportunity for you, to advance or, get out
Yeah.
of that situation if you're looking to move up or
Mm-hmm.
move out or move in a different direction. I think attitude is very important.
Sure. No, I
You know,
agree. Yep, that's great.
have a good attitude.
And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you this question, which I think I don't think I've ever asked you this question. But what is one piece of advice, or what has been your greatest piece of advice that you've gotten from someone or whoever on mixing? What could you say to that?
Hmm. Well, it wasn't. Um, I mean, I've gotten a lot of advice from people, but it's just all these little things. But I think probably the biggest thing that helped me improve my mix was I got from a book. This book called Mixing with Your Mind by a guy named Michael Stavrou or something
Mm-hmm.
like that. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but the book is fantastic. I mean, a friend of mine, Paul Cox, turned me onto this book years ago. And the big takeaway from that book for me was everything that you do in a mix should always be done with an ear for how does this make the song feel?
Mm.
Does it, because basically either enhance the groove, make it feel better, make it more likable, or it can destroy the groove, right?
Right.
So everything that I do, whether it's compression or time-based effects, reverb, those types of things, I don't just apply it based on, you know, the sound. I apply it based on how it makes the song feel. And ever since I
Mm.
started doing that, it's still going to achieve the other goal that you have. If it's a compressor, it's still going to reduce your dynamic range and level things out. But if you do it with an ear for how does it make the song feel? How does it
Mm.
make the groove feel?
Yeah.
It's like immediately makes your mixes better.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Hey, let's take a quick second and let's take a little glimpse into Orchestrate Studio. That was mighty fine, picking and grinning. Um, so if you are interested in connecting with Jacob, go to orchestratesound.com. I'm sure he'd love to meet you, work on your project, whatever it is, or even just let you come check out the studio. You just had an addition, which is such a really cool place. You can, if you're a band or an artist, you can actually book time, and you can like stay there for ever how long you want, and record your project with Jacob and his team. And that's something that's really, really unique about what they've carved out there at Orchestrate, is that you can go there, you can create, you can rest, you can eat, you can shower up, and you can just go back to it whenever you need to. And so give it a shot, orchestratesound.com. Jacob, man, thank you so much for your time today, man. Well, before we leave, I want to just tell you that a big part of Unsung is just to encourage our guests. You know, there's a lot that you've done in the last 25 plus years of your career that maybe people have not seen, and some people have, of course. But man, the things, when I think about you, I think that first of all, you're so honest. When I first met you, I was like, man, this guy's honest. Like, I love it, man. It's so refreshing for me to have that. Have a friend like that. You're so patient, man. I mean, even in like, working on songs that we've worked on or projects, I mean, even if it's a tough situation, you're so patient to kind of see it to the end and get the best product, right? And work for it. So I appreciate that. And man, and you're just so loyal to just your friends, but also whatever you're working on, so loyal. And so, man, we want to just encourage you with that today, and say thank you for your investment in so many people that you've touched in your career and just in your friendship, man. It's very valuable, and we appreciate you.
Thanks, man. I really
Right,
appreciate
man.
it.
Well, you've had the best background so far of any guest so far. I love the background. So beautiful. It's awesome.
Very good.
Very nice. So again, thanks, Jacob. Make sure to go check out orchestratesound.com, and we'll see you again on Unsung.
No longer dead to this place that's around him. He's lightning fed by the space that surrounds him.